1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Royal Blue Podcast Soundcheck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Royal Blue Podcast Soundcheck. Wednesday show live. Hello and welcome to the Royal Blue Podcast. It is the Wednesday show with me, Ian Croll. We are live on the Royal Blue YouTube channel, and joining me for today's episode to talk all things Everton, we've got Tony Scott. Tony, last time we were in the studio together, we were beaming ear from ear. Obviously with the last Gaps winner against Crystal Palace. Are we still on a high? Momentum still with us? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think while the international break's been happening, I think a lot of Evertonians have taken stock on where the clubs are at the moment. I'm sure we'll speak about that shortly. But yeah, we're a proud bunch at the moment in terms of where the football club is over in the league, on and off the pitch. The recruitment is questionable, but as things currently stand, we're in a very, very good place on and off the pitch. And you only have to look at the football club where it was 18 months ago, where you had 777, we're banging on the door, hoping to take control of the football club. You had points deductions, we were in the bottom four, Sean Dyche was in charge, we had lesser quality players. The club was in a really difficult position 18 months ago. And now you look at it, we're sitting in one of the best stadiums in English football. We're watching a very good Everton side. That's still in transition. We've got a very good manager, got brilliant players on the football pitch. We're playing exciting football, and we're sitting in the top 6 or top 7. So there's a lot to be pleased about.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you should work for Everton's promotion team there.
Any PR jobs, let me know.
Today's agenda, obviously a few topics up for discussion. As the title of this podcast says, we will dive into Lee Dixon's comments regarding Jordan Pickford in last night's England's 5-0 win over Latvia. Disrespectful or not, let us know in the comments what you think. We will definitely come on to that. Me and Tony have just been briefly speaking about it before we come on, and we might have some conflicting. I'm torn, to be honest. I've got some conflicting thoughts myself. Maybe some thoughts that I would never usually have, but we'll come on to it. Obviously, Everton play Manchester City on Saturday, so we will take a closer look at that game. David Moyes with some interesting decisions to make and some questions to answer ahead of that game as well. So, as always, give the video a thumbs up, drop us a like, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Get your comments in and get your questions in on the live stream. Your support is greatly appreciated. As always, a quick word for our sponsor, NordVPN. To get the best discounts off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/EFC. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan, and there is no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. And the link is in the podcast episode description. What I'll say is just click that link for us. It makes us look good.
Still not got that beer sponsor yet?
No, we're trying our best. I'm relying on you, to be honest. A couple more wins.
A couple of more wins out there. Yeah, and then hopefully fingers crossed.
You never know, do you? Okay, let's get straight into it. I mean, there should be a lot more important things to be discussing, but we will address Lee Dixon's comments from last night. I didn't watch the game. I'll be honest with you, I knew it was on, but I had no interest in it. We knew England were going to win and qualify, and it's good that, from an England fan point of view, that we qualified for the World Cup. But Lee Dixon basically covered England's game. If you don't know what happened last night, he covered England's game against Latvia. He was on commentary for ITV Sport, and he basically questioned Jordan Pickford and why he hadn't made the jump to, quote, a bigger club. I mean, that's pretty much the be-all and end-all of it, isn't it? This, in turn, led to Everton's media team to respond on social media by listing all the club's trophy accomplishments, which, to be fair, there are a few. I don't think anyone can question that. So the tweet said, quote, 9 top-flight titles, 5 FA Cups, 1 European title, 1 of football's most passionate fan bases, a world-class stadium, Everton FC, a big club, past, present and future. And they actually tagged Big Lee Dixon in the tweet. What do you make of all the fallout of this, Tony? Are you outraged as much as every Everton fan that I've seen on Twitter?
No, well, I'm not, to be honest. And I think we're better than that. We don't need ex-players to comment on how big or how small of a club we are. We know we're a very big football club. Yet to the relative fan in the past 20 years, it wouldn't come across as that. So I think Lee Dixon should know better. He should know better to make derogatory comments such as that while he's co-commentating on a game of football, especially when there's millions of people watching. So with that, if he was a young supporter who was just been watching Premier League football over the past 20 years, you could probably try and he'd have a valid opinion on it. So Everton aren't a big club, if he was to say that. So Lee Dixon was starting out his playing career while Everton were at the powers of English football. He was playing for Chester City at the foot of the Football League. He was playing for Stoke City. He was watching his beloved Manchester City while Everton were a dominant force in English football back in the 80s. So he should know better.
Lazy comment.
It is, because he knows Everton are a massive football club. Yet because they haven't won a trophy in the past 30 years doesn't mean any difference. It doesn't. Everton are the fifth most successful club in English football. That's it. They're the founder members of the Football League. They're the founder members of the Premier League. Only four clubs have won more titles than Everton in the top flight. We know this. Only 6 stadiums in England have got a bigger capacity than the Hill Dickinson Stadium. We've got 25,000 season ticket holders on the waiting list. They're waiting for this. They're waiting to come and watch Everton. That's the power of how strong this football club is. So Lee Dixon should know a lot better than to make comments like this. Now, as I've just touched on, for any fan under the age of 30, you could probably take in significance of what they've said and go, do you know what? He kind of got a point because he's a 30-year-old lad. He doesn't know how big of a football club Everton are and used to be, even so. But for Lee Dixon to come out with them comments as well, he knows better. He's been around English football for a long period of time. As I just touched on, he was watching his beloved Manchester City. He was playing for your Stoke Cities, your Burnleys and your Chester Cities, while Everton were a dominant force in the 1980s, winning European trophies, winning leagues, winning FA Cups. He knows better. He really, really does. So he's got a very small memory in terms of where Everton Football Club are. Now, I've heard this opinion several times, especially on social media, that, well, why hasn't a big club come in for Jordan Pickford? What difference does that make? It makes no difference whatsoever. Shay Given was at Newcastle Football Club for about 12 or 13 years. Didn't win anything. Does everyone make derogatory comments about why didn't he sign for a bigger football club?
Alan Shearer.
When Harry Kane was playing for Tottenham from 2013 to 2023, no one batters an eyelid and made a comment about Harry Kane saying, why isn't he signing for a bigger football club? No one says anything otherwise. Ledley King is another perfect example. One of the best centre-backs in English football at the time, playing for Spurs for about 15 years. No one questions him to sign for a bigger club. But because it's Jordan Pickford and it's Everton, it suits Lee Dixon's narrative. He should know better. He really should know better. To a certain football fan under the age of 30, you could probably sympathise with the opinions, but not an ex-Premier League footballer who grew up in the 1980s. He should know better, in my opinion.
I'll tell you what, So, if this is you not being outraged, I'd love to see you when you are outraged.
Catch me after the Merseyside derby.
I've got so many conflicting thoughts with regards to this. First off, tweet about it this morning. I think it's, first off, the Lee Dixon big club comment is just a lazy comment.
Yeah.
I think unless you're slated as being in the top 6, the Sky 6, you are deemed to be a small club, or certainly not a big club. Everton, in our eyes, are a big club. I don't think that's, without saying. I think that even to a lot of rival fans, Everton are considered to be a big club. Obviously, over the past 20, 30 years without winning a trophy, I don't think that has helped the situation, certainly being in a couple of relegation battles over the past 4 or 5 years. So I get that point of view from Everton not seem to be a big club. I mean, you look at, I'm sick to death of the debate of who's a bigger club between Everton and, say, Newcastle, Villa, West Ham. You know, teams who've, you know, I know Newcastle have won a trophy recently, but on the grand scheme of things, in modern day football, you could say, like, well, Newcastle won a trophy. Then, you know, there's the argument say, well, they're a bigger club than Villa, they're a bigger club than Everton. Villa, they've been in the Champions League. Are they a bigger club than Everton? Are they a bigger club than Newcastle? So, to be honest, I'm sick to death of who is the bigger club. My concern is that we haven't won a trophy in the past 30 years, and there's been a number of reasons for that. There's been a number of mitigating factors for that, and to call out Jordan Pickford to say, well, why aren't you moving to a bigger club so you can go and win trophies and stuff like that? Why aren't we praising Jordan Pickford for being loyal in an era where we've had, or a season where we've had players or player down tools to get a big money move to a rival club and eventually get his move? Why aren't we praising Jordan Pickford for staying at Everton for so long? Let's face it, it's not like he hasn't been able to claim that England #1 spot and stick with it. He has. He cemented himself as England's #1, so he should be getting applauded for that rather than being kicked to the ground by a Lee Dixon, who, again, it's just a completely lazy comment from a commentator, like you say, who should know better. Everton are a big club, but the problem is we haven't been a big club properly, and we don't think we've been ran as a big club properly for the past 20, 30 years, and that's what rival fans see. And I think we'll come on to it, but the Everton media team, they can go and do what they want, but I think putting out a tweet like that, I just think it feeds into the fact that Everton are deemed to be a small club compared to, you know, the rest of the Premier League.
I didn't think there was a need to do it. I wouldn't think that Liverpool, Manchester United, Manchester City, Newcastle, Tottenham, but Chelsea, I don't think they would tweet.
They don't need to do that.
I know, but they wouldn't. They wouldn't tweet if someone made a derogatory comment about whether they're one of their players. So I can get why Everton backs it up. I've just made a perfect example and a perfect case for that, why Everton a big club. You can go success, history, stadium, fan base. Everton tick a lot of boxes. So that's why Everton are a big club. But we don't need to put that out there to justify to Lee Dixon.
It's small time.
To Lee Dixon, of all people. Do you know what I mean? It's like, as I've just touched on, he was making his trade while Everton were a big force in English football, so he knows best. He's an ex-Premier League footballer who's been around the block, who knows how big of a football club Everton are, so he should know best. But the same token, don't feed in the narrative to him. I wouldn't have done it personally.
We don't need to justify our trophy haul.
We don't. We know as much as anyone how bad it's been in the past 30 years.
No, but in the grand scheme of things, we know it's big, but the past 30 years has been horrendous.
Of course.
And without going off on a bit of a tangent here, this just feeds back into what me and Joe were talking about on Monday, the frustration that we felt after the Wolves Cup game of playing a weakened team. That do your talking on the pitch.
Yeah.
Don't do your talking on social media. Jordan Pickford's done his talking on the pitch. He's England's #1 goalkeeper.
Yeah.
He's been Everton's best goalkeeper for 30, 40 years. You know, following on from Neville Southall.
But it's kind of lazy. Yeah, it's kind of lazy from Lee Dixon to make these comments, because, as I touched on there, just me several examples. When Harry Kane was at Tottenham for every single season, was Lee Dixon doing co-commentary mentioning, well, why isn't Harry Kane going to a bigger club? He was there for like 12 years before he actually moved. And only moved in the end because he had 1 year left and he moved to Bayern Munich. Was anyone questioning Ledley King and Shea Given, Matt Letizia, all these players that have been in that club? Alan Shearer, no one questions that. But because it's obviously Jordan Pickford. And by the way, what makes it even more baffling, the fact that Jordan Pickford plays in the majority of teams in the Premier League right now. You look at the money wasted by Chelsea, Manchester United, all these other clubs in the past few years on goalkeepers. Pickford's better than the lot. He's better than the lot. And you look at Liverpool, they're now going through a bit of a transition period with their goalkeeper. Arsenal got a very, very good goalkeeper. Manchester City sold Ederson to bring in Donnarumma. But apart from that, Pickford's one of the best in Europe. So we don't need to remind ourselves, but it's baffling that the likes of a co-commentator on a ITV Sport, obviously commentating on a game of that magnitude, makes derogatory comments like that. But I wouldn't feed into the narrative as a football club in terms of putting a tweet out and then tagging them in. Was so much better than that in my opinion. And it kind of feeds into the narrative to Lee Dixon. Go, well, if you were Lee Dixon now this morning, you go, do you know what, maybe in hindsight, I did make that comment a little bit tongue-in-cheek or baffling, whatever it was. But when the football club's kind of tweeting me, you probably expect them kinds of tweets from lower league clubs to try and push interaction or something like that. Liverpool, Man United, Manchester City, they wouldn't be putting tweets like that out. And I don't think we need to. We don't need to justify ourselves that we've got 25,000 people waiting on a waiting list to get a season ticket at Hill Dickinson Stadium, that you have to go into a ballot to try and get a single match day ticket. We sell out our away allocation every single week. We've got 55,000 at the Hill Dickinson Stadium every single week. We are the founder members of English football. We are the founder members of the Premier League. We are the 5th most successful club in English football. We don't need to shout from the rooftops because we know ourselves we're a perfectly big club. And look where we are right now on and off the pitch. We know that. We don't need to push that narrative out there, in my opinion.
I just want us to do our talking on the pitch with wins, points, getting far into the latter stages of trophy competitions, winning trophies, and it's just something that we haven't done. Like say Jordan Pickford has done that on an individual basis. He's been Everton's probably best player since the Macheri era, since everything capitulated. He's certainly been the best buy in the past 10 years without a doubt, and God knows where we'd be without Jordan Pickford. I know there's a lot of fans, even Everton fans, who question Pickford's attributes and his qualities. It's fair enough. It's all based on opinions, but I think it's clear that he's been a huge part of why Everton have stayed up. So the past 30 years, which unfortunately, probably for both you and me, we've seen Everton do nothing. It's been our entire Everton fandom where we've missed, great nights of Everton winning trophies, getting far into competitions. I'm sick to death of that. I want Everton to do the talking on the pitch. I don't want the media team coming out justifying why Everton are a big club. We know we're a big club, but obviously we're not perceived to be a big club by other people. Lee Dixon's got his opinion. We're not one of the big six, so we're always going to be looked down on in that respect. Other fans, like I said before, Newcastle fans, West Ham fans, Villa fans, they all look down on us. They don't see Everton as a big club. West Ham, Newcastle, Villa, they all get 40, 50,000 fans a game. Does that make you a big club? I think it's a contributing factor, definitely, how many fans you've got. It's all about doing it on the pitch, and this is where we need David Moyes and the team now. Look, it's early days compared to where we've been the past couple of seasons. But I don't want to harp on about it, but really disappointed with how things went with the Wolves game. He's got to put that right, the manager, and he's got to show why Everton are a big club on the pitch, not just off it.
Well, Moyes just came in, by the way. It's not. He can't take the blame for what's happened in the past 10 years. In fact, he probably left it in better health than it's ever been over the past 20 years. He's come back into it. It's been an absolute mess.
It's his responsibility now, isn't it?
Well, that's his job now, to build it up back again to where he left it. And we need to keep fighting. Where we are, we're 7th or 8th in the Premier League. We need to stay consistent in that area of the Premier League table for long periods of time until that, as you touched on, them other football clubs can take us seriously. Because you look at it and you go, it needs drumming down to it, like a lot of Everton, because you don't realise sometimes, like, when was the last time you finished up at Brighton? When was the last time that actually happened in the Premier League? About 5, 6, 7 years ago? I don't know. So we need, on a consistent basis, to be finishing rounds about 7th, and then you'll start be taken seriously. We've just made lots of comments there why Everton are a very big club. They've got obviously a world-class player in Jack Grealish. You've got Iliman Ndiaye, got some obviously Jordan Pickford. We're in a world-class stadium. We've got everything there to become a force like we once were back in the 80s, but it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. But I certainly wouldn't be listening to a co-commentator's comments on whether a big club or not. We don't need to justify to anyone, especially to a co-commentator commentating on an England match in a World Cup qualifier, a 5-0 away against Latvia. I wouldn't bother with listening to them comments at all. We don't need to justify that to anyone. We know we're a big football club. So I'd just take it with a pinch of salt. I've just given numerous examples why we are to anyone watching in. Like, hang on, let's see our Everton, because I'll guarantee a lot of them comments I've made, you probably take a step back as an Everton, you go, hang on, yeah, we do sell away every single game. Our allocation sold out. I didn't know we had 25,000 people on the waiting list. I didn't know there was a ballot to get a match day ticket to Hill Dickinson Stadium. I didn't know we're getting 53,000 every single week. Didn't know we were founding members of the Football League, the Premier League, the 5th most successful club in English football. I didn't know all this, but guess what? We are. We are. And we don't need to tell that to the likes of Lee Dixon, in my opinion.
No, I'm sick to death of trying to justify it. So that's why I'm not doing it. That's why my stance on it at the moment is a little bit conflicted. I want Everton now to start doing the talking on the pitch.
Yeah.
I don't want to repeat myself. I've been waiting for this question to come in because I knew it would come in. When I said about what we should be doing is praising Pickford for his loyalty. There's a comment here from the Blues who said Pickford's loyalty hasn't been tested and nobody is coming for him. I think that is completely irrelevant. In modern day football now, and it's not even just modern day football, it's happened since the dawn of time in football. Players, if they want to, can force through moves.
We've seen that across the park this season.
If Jordan Pickford really wanted to, he didn't have to sign the multiple contracts that he signed with Everton. He doesn't have to sign this contract with Everton that he's going to do over the next couple of days. If he really wanted to move, like we've seen with a player who's gone across the park, I don't think Liverpool has actually put a bid in for Isak.
No.
He just down tools,
yeah.
forced his move through, and then forced Newcastle to sell him. If Jordan Pickford wanted to move from Everton and thought there was a slight chance that he could go to a United, a Tottenham, an Arsenal, say before they got
Chelsea, all these players.
Yeah, all the teams who I agree with you, have got Pickford is better than goalie. He could have forced through that move. If anything, it's been so beneficial for Pickford to stay at Everton for his England career that it's probably been the best decision that he's made to be as loyal.
You look at Pickford in the past 2 or 3 years, and there's some make no bones about it. He is a very consistent footballer in the Premier League. So much so where 5 or 6 years ago when he first come in, he was making 2 or 3 errors throughout the season, which were proven costly. The Divock Origi goal in the Merseyside derby springs to mind. Yeah. But then he's ironing them out. And I seen a comment, I think I tuned into Sky Sports News the other day, and they were mentioning like Pickford's become the second English goalkeeper to make 300 appearances for one club. And they named David Seaman, Joe Hart, I think maybe Paul Robinson and David James. And I looked at it and I went, Pickford's better than them all. And they went, David Seaman's better for England. I said, hang on. David Seaman, David James, Joe Hart and Paul Robinson could not play in the Premier League right now. He couldn't do it. So Joe Hart got found out within 2 minutes by Pep Guardiola because his distribution was awful. David Seaman's distribution, Paul Robinson.
Well, different game back then.
It's a different game. And that's my argument. It was just like belt it up. How many times were you watching football in the 90s when there was no playing out from the back? You just lump it up to the centre forwards and win a flick on. So now Jordan Pickford is, you look at some of the free kicks from when Sean Dyche was in charge last season. Pickford was taking the free kicks on the halfway line, getting the ball into the box. His distribution's brilliant. One of the best goalkeepers out there for distribution. So I don't like this comparison with former goalkeepers because Pickford is one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League in terms of his shot stopping and his distribution. And they're 2 big factors on why you're a very good goalkeeper in the Premier League. Yeah, some might say he doesn't demand his box from crosses. But you could tick a lot of boxes in terms of like Donnarumma or another goalkeeper in the Premier League where their distribution isn't the best, or they're not a big shot stopper at Jordan Pickford, or they don't make as more penalty saves than Jordan Pickford. So Pickford's got more ticks to his boxes than most Premier League goalkeepers, trust me. You ask a Chelsea fan, you ask a Manchester United fan, they'd love him in goal. They'd love him in goal.
Of course they would.
Exactly.
And 100% teams have been interested in Jordan Pickford. He's just never given the indication that he's wanted to leave Everton. Why do you think he signed?
That's nonsense, that comment.
Is this his third comment? Is this his third contract now that he's going to sign?
Yeah, but it's nonsense, that comment anyway, because you telling me like the likes of Seamus Coleman and Leighton Baines, I think, was it Manchester United, there was speculation at the time. Yeah. All these players that Everton had at the time, your Jagielkas, your Tim Cahill's, you telling me no club were looking at these types of players at the time? Of course they were. But because it doesn't come out doesn't mean that it didn't happen. Of course it's happened. You telling me not one single football club has ever came in for Jordan Pickford or spoke to Pickford's representatives?
Exactly.
Of course they have. It just hasn't got documented.
They're, speaking to agents and finding out things, tapping up. We know what happens.
Of course it does.
All the time
now.
Of course it's nothing new. And it's almost now to come to the point where it's fine to do it.
Yeah.
So I just don't think we should be praising his loyalty and not questioning why he hasn't gone to a quote, a big club. He's cemented himself as England's number one. The amount of penalties that he saved in penalty shootouts, semi-finals with England, final, and a lot of it is down to him.
Well, isn't that due to, like, sorry to interrupt, when he said, like, why Pickford hasn't gone to a big club? Well, isn't Lee Dixon kind of putting the blame on the poor recruitment done by the likes of Tottenham and Chelsea and Manchester United? Because the money that they've wasted on goalkeepers in the past 5 years,
they would have been better spending 50 million
on Jordan Pickford.
Yeah.
And he would have still been playing now for them as England's number one.
We're not trying to sell him, by the way.
No,
but
chance.
That is a valid point.
So he's basically blaming Chelsea and Manchester United's and Tottenham's and all these clubs' recruitment. He's basically pointing the finger at them, saying, "Why didn't you sign Pickford?" Because that's what he's kind of done. Because Pickford gets in most sides in the Premier League.
We're not outraged then. I'll try and come back to some comments while we go throughout the show on that, but I do want to. Like 27 minutes in now, so I kind of want to move away from the Lee Dixon. It shouldn't be the Lee Dixon show. But I guess, I don't know, you haven't commented, have you? But the fact that Pickford's going to sign a new deal this week, positive? Oh,
massive positive. Imagine if he was to see his contract out and leave on a free. Hey, that'd be the killer.
Be fuming.
Exactly. So that would be the killer straight away. Do you know what I mean? So listen, if that bigger club does come in for him, as Lee Dixon has suggested, then at least we'll be getting a good few quid for him.
Yeah. We asked this on Monday, but there's always succession planning in football. Do you think how many years? I know his contract is going to be for the next 4 or 5 years, so you'd expect him to still be the number one. At what point you bring in a really solid keeper to push Pickford?
Well, I haven't been excited by the goalkeeping.
Well, we said this on Monday.
Yeah, sounds that we've made this summer, to put it lightly. So listen to me, he's coming to his prime. That's the age.
We're going to see more of
mean?
Pickford. Is he going to get better, do you think? Because he said that himself in a press conference on Monday, was it, that he expects to improve and get better. 31. Like nowadays, goalkeepers can go to 38, 39. You've seen it.
But they kind of come into the prime at this age in the tail end of the crease when they've got that vastly amount of experience behind them. Look at Neville Southall, for example. Do you know what I mean? Like,
what is it? Is that just because it's more experience? Is that literally all it is? Because let's face it, as you do get older physically, you probably can't do some of the things you can do at 31 that you might be able to do at 21. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure he's still fit and physically able to do everything, but surely it's got to be more of a psychological thing and experience.
I think it's more mental that what your body can do. And what I mean by that is that you'll know when he's probably in his early 20s, in his teens, playing for Sunderland. I think that he's probably diving out too much and maybe, I don't know, making daft decisions in and around the penalty area where, with all that wealth of experience he's got at Everton playing in Premier League football and also playing for England against the top teams on the planet. He's played against some very, very good footballers. He knows what he can do and his decision making's up there with the very, very best. So we'll know whether to come out for the cross, whether to stay on his line, whether to do a quick throw, whether to distribute from the back. He knows these things now through that experience of playing at top tier international football and playing in the Premier League.
Okay, let's move on. That was a good little debate there, like I say, conflicted really with regards to all that, but I don't think anyone's questioning Jordan Pickford. Well, it is actually a couple of people questioning Jordan Pickford, but like I say, we'll move on. City, how do you see that toe? And I think the big question that we're all going to be asking is how do Everton play without Jack Grealish? Because it's the first time he's going to be unavailable for the game.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll probably speak about Everton's academy shortly, but there's a player who we bought from Southampton's academy in Tyler Dibbling that this is the time for the lad to step up, isn't it? This is why we bought him. And we want to see now this season him push on and start knocking on the door for a place in the Premier League to play for Everton. It's going to be interesting, isn't it, how Moyes works this. Does he flood the midfield with just a guy, Tim Arubenham and James Garner? Does he put James Garner in at right back? Does Michael Keane pass fit? Does Jared Brantwaite come back in? There's so many permutations to it. There really, really is. I think we would say that, you wouldn't have thought Everton would have played the way they did against Aston Villa, in terms of like they were so on the front foot with the likes of Ilham and Diaye and obviously Jack Grealish in there. Everyone thought that James Garner and Everton would flood the midfield, but they never dribbling come in. So it was kind of, hang on, this is a different David Moyes we've got, because I'm sure David Moyes of 12, 13 years ago wouldn't have been that more attacking minded. Yeah. But we've seen against Aston Villa that dribbling in Diaye and Grealish were in from the start. It was against with the last gas. Yeah, it was Villa. It was the last game.
West Ham, Palace.
Palace, sorry, the name escapes me. Palace, that Moyes was on the front foot from the off. Now, we're probably thinking Manchester City away at the Etihad. Haaland's in the form of his life. Will Everton be more attacking minded, even without Grealish? Will he go with an Ndiaye and a Dibbling and a Dewsbury as a 3? Or will he go, right, I'll take Dibbling out the side, I'll just put maybe a Rubenham, a Garner, a Guy, flood the midfield, get numbers in there and try and look for a set piece. But judging from what we've seen last week against 2 weeks ago against Crystal Palace, Moyes went for it. So we may see a Dibbling, we may see a Grealish, we may see an Ndiaye and a Dewsbury as a 3 behind Barry, but it just leaves us wide open in midfield, because I don't think it's just a guy now has got the legs, having played 88 minutes for Senegal and on the international break this week. I don't think he's got the legs with another player in there. I think he's more comfortable at home playing in that position as a 2, not as a 3 out way Manchester City against the likes of Reinders, Bernardo Silva, Rodri. I think they'll pass him off the park, as we've seen against Crystal Palace when the likes of Adam Wharton, they were just passing through Everton at times. So I'll be more sceptical about having just a guy in James Garner as a 2 against Manchester City. I'd rather flood that midfield and put a Rubenham in there myself.
Do you think we went for it against Palace? Do you think, like, with
judging from the starting lineup, we did, yeah. They couldn't have been more attacking minded if he tried.
Didn't work though, did it?
It didn't, but he couldn't. I think you even said on the preview show that will Garner go into midfield and a Rubenham and Guy as a 3, or push Garner as a number 10 instead of the suspended Dewsbury. But he went for it. He went with the 3. So he couldn't have been more attacking minded if he tried, and it kind of didn't work. So just Moyes come back and go, right, that didn't work. So I maybe have to flood the midfield against Manchester City. It's food for thought. At least you've got options. At least.
It's difficult to assess, isn't it, with the fact that there could be fitness and injury issues, certainly with Michael Keane. We don't know where he's at this moment in time, because we know he went off against Palace with what was deemed to be a hip injury. So I guess if Michael Keane's fit, you work on the basis that he's fit. I don't think Branthwaite's going to be back, is he? Then it's the same back 4, isn't it, with O'Brien and Mykolenko and Tarkowski alongside Michael Keane. Don't
be surprised, Ian, by the way, if you see Jared Branthwaite at left back this season. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
No, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I think we commented on this the other day. I don't think particularly enjoy playing there as the left back, but he'd purely be willing to do that for the team. So
you get told where to play. David Moyes is an old school manager.
I agree.
And for a player whose injury records is as bad as it is over the past 2 or 3 years.
But the only reason you're saying Branthwaite is left back is because, are you suggesting that, and I don't probably disagree with you if you are, that Mykolenko is not up to scratch at this moment in time?
Yeah.
Is that because, well, he's probably not fit, but Branthwaite's not in the team either. We know that when Branthwaite gets back in that team, it seems to spur Mykolenko on, and he seems to be a little bit more assured.
No, I just think it's, even as one of Mykolenko's strengths is his basic 1v1 defending, and I've seen over the past 2 or 3, 4 weeks is that he's getting caught out quite a lot.
No, but I think,
and don't get me wrong, he's been up against really good opposition, especially against West Ham. He really didn't have the best of games, and neither did Jake O'Brien. But I just think what you've got in Branthwaite is that 1v1, you're not getting past him. He's a big unit.
No, but I think that's where he helps Mykolenko out. I do. I think that's where...
But you can't drop Michael Keane. You can't drop him. He's been Everton's best defender this season.
You can. Well, he might have been Everton's best defender this season, but Branthwaite and Tarkowski are our best defensive partnership, central defensive partnership.
Judging on the back of last season.
No, but that's Everton's.
You can't pick players on name.
Look,
you pick players on form.
It would be very harsh to drop Michael Keane, but James Tarkowski is not playing great at this moment in time. Do you know what? None of the defence are playing great apart from Keane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we're conceding bags full of goals. It's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? Well, we know O'Brien's playing out of position, so it's not really his fault. It's a huge decision to make when Branthwaite comes back fit. I don't think it's a decision that he's going to have to make for City, though. I don't, from what I can gather.
I think it as well.
Branthwaite's going to be fit.
From an attacking point of view, you've got 4 centre-backs, which Arsenal do quite often a lot. They play 4 centre-backs.
It's like Championship manager.
It is, isn't it? So if you've got 4 centre-backs and you see how good Arsenal are from set pieces, can you imagine if Everton get a corner or a set piece? You've also got Beto and Barry, who aren't small. They're big units themselves. So then you've got the likes of O'Brien, Michael Keane, Jared Branthwaite, James Tarkowski from a set piece. They're going to tower over the opposition. So you've got a huge threat from set pieces alone. And you've seen this season and last season how pivotal set pieces are in games of football. So if you've got 4 giants at the back and obviously a threat up front from a set piece, whether it be Beto or Barry, the big lads, for all what they lack in quality at the moment, they're big lads and they've got to be marked up whichever way you dress it up. So I think it's a big tool, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see Jared Branthwaite in a left back berth over the next couple of weeks.
I wouldn't be annoyed or outraged in any way, shape or form if Moyes was to drop Keane and bring Branthwaite straight back in the team. I genuinely wouldn't.
We can't do that. I think Moyes has always been a big advocate of playing players who are in form.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, and I remember the time when, was it Leighton Baines or Julian Lescott had to sit on the bench for a long period of time and one of them was playing. And that's just the way it goes sometimes. You've got to do it.
I just think Michalenko's form's not great. Is he fit? 100%? Probably not. Is he helping Jack Grealish from a advanced forward point of view? Probably not. All these reasons to take him out of the team, isn't it? I'm talking myself out at this point here. No, I just think when Branthwaite plays, he's just a man-mountain of a man, and he pushes Everton's back line probably 10-15 yards further forward. It's just the nature. It's like when a colossal defender plays, you just see it differently. You know, this is not me slagging Michael Keane off. He has been Everton's best defender. I'm just trying to think of it from a unit point of view, from a team point of view. The defence is not playing well from an individual point of view. Again, I keep talking about the mitigating factors for all of that, but that is the point. I just don't want to be. I've talked in the past about how David Moyes seems to be shoehorning players into positions, square pegs and round holes, all that usual stuff, and throwing Branthwaite in as a left back would be doing that to an extent.
I don't necessarily.
I think if Branthwaite plays, he will help Michalenko drastically, and I think you'll see his game improve. But like I say, don't think that's going to happen for City. I don't think it's going to happen. There's
an argument to say that Branthwaite's distribution going forward would be a lot better than Michalenko's as well.
Let's work on the basis that it's the same back four, because there's no been any reports of Keane being injured. We'll know on Friday with the press conference. So let's work on that basis. So that means you'd expect that to stay the same with O'Brien as the right back. So what are we doing then? Garner obviously plays. You've obviously got the Kane and Dewsbury Hall situation as well with Alcaraz, who I think everyone would have no issues with Alcaraz starting that game on the basis of what he did.
On form. So you're going against yourself now, aren't you?
I'm not. I'm not.
With Michael Keane out the side, but Alcaraz on form.
I'm not basing that on form because he's only had 45 minutes. What I'm basing that on is the partnership between him and Beto and how that works. Okay. As again, from a unit point of view and the team. So I understand what you mean. You can't base Alcaraz's 45 minutes all. He's in some good form. You got to give him at least a run of games.
But if he wouldn't have played well against Palace, you wouldn't have been putting him in.
Well, he certainly would have had a lot more minutes if I was the manager. Now, listen, so what do we do then?
Well, you've got options. You've got Dewsbury Hall, James Garner, Tim Arubenham, just a guy. You've got 4 players that can easily play in them 2 positions. I think Everton will flood that midfield against Manchester City. They won't be as attacker-minded because it didn't pay off against Crystal Palace. And if it's not going to pay off against Crystal Palace, then it's certainly not going to pay off against Manchester City away, is it? Where they're going to dominate possession. They're going to have a lot of the ball. Everton will be doing more work off the ball than they will on it. So you're going to have legs in there. Who's got the most minutes on the clock? I wouldn't be surprised if it's just a guy who gets dropped out of this equation, I wouldn't be surprised because you need legs in there. Dewsbury all fresh, no international break. Had a week off before at the Crystal Palace game. He should be fresher than anyone. He's been at Finch Farm probably in the past 2 weeks, building his fitness up, so he should be starting. you'd probably presume James Garner will be starting. He's been one of Everton's better standout players this season. So then the question is that who plays in that other role as a 10? Does Alcaraz play in there? Does Dibbling go on the left? And then you push maybe Alcaraz on the left?
I don't think there's any way that Moyes throws Dibbling into that game. I'll be very surprised.
Okay, so who plays on the left then?
So, just before I come on to that quick question here, so Daniel Barton says, sorry, it's a comment. I think Moyes will put Garner left back before Branthwaite, which he's done. Obviously, I know Branthwaite was injured at the time. Back to your point. So, I think it'll just be pretty much the same as what Moyes has done in the past, over the past couple of weeks. I think Garner and Gay will play, and Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall will come back in as the number 10, and I think Alcaraz will get his chance, but it'll be on either wing with Ndiaye. So whether Alcaraz plays on the right or the left, I think it'll be dependent.
I think he'll freshen it up.
Reckon?
Yeah. I think we'll see about 2 or 3 changes. I think we'll see quite a lot because it didn't work against Crystal Palace. Palace had a very good side, and their formation flummoxed Everton for large periods of that game. And we're up against a very good midfielder in Adam Morton. I just think we're up against world-class midfielders in Rodri and Reinders and Bernardo Silva. We're going to be very difficult to get the ball off them.
I think whatever side we put out, it's going to be a difficult afternoon, isn't it?
Yeah. But you know what? They're not invincible this season, are they? They're not invincible. And they've come into a bit of form. They've got arguably the best striker on the planet at the moment in Haaland. If we keep him quiet, you've got a very good chance of keeping Manchester City quiet. But he's in unbelievable form, isn't he? So we could put 10 defenders, we could put 10 Michael Keanes in front of him. He's going to find his way into goal, isn't he? So it's going to be a big test for Jordan Pickford. We've just been praising him. Be a big test for him. He saved a penalty against Erling Haaland this time last year when we went to the Etihad. Everton got a 1-1. Iliman Ndiaye scored. So we see no reason why we can't get at least a positive performance. If you don't win, if you don't get something from the game, at least lay a glove on him, and that's what you want. Kevin
Kraft says, Tony Scott wants Moyes' job. You do, don't you?
I wouldn't mind being on the backroom staff there.
Could you cope with the pressure, though?
Look at that. I coach an under-9s team and it's hard enough. Trust me, it's an absolute nightmare.
I'm so excited, in a way, to see what Moyes is actually going to do, because this is probably the first time in a while where you think, God, what is he actually going to do here? Usually the team does pick itself. I do think he'll be a little bit predictable. With Ida-Boomen, is it not a risk playing him? Don't get me wrong.
Plays on form?
I know, look, 20 minutes. He had 20 minutes and won a penalty. And you know what? I've been the first to praise him for his impact that he had. Is it not a risk for a player who drifts in and out of games, certainly fades? He might have his moments, but also, loses possession of the ball, can give the ball away at times. You just don't want that in the middle of the park against the Manchester City team.
I think you need legs. And that's one thing he's got. He gets around the pitch.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. Sorry to interrupt. And I need to think through this while we're live. What I would genuinely do is, it would be, if you want legs, you just drop Kiernan Dewsbury all deeper and Alcaraz is your number 10. I'm going to be totally honest here. If he does play Alcaraz on the wing, I'm going to be a bit miffed off.
So who else will play on there?
I'm trying to think now.
So there's nobody else can play. Rubenham can't play there. James Garner can't play there. Just a guy can't play there. Kiernan Dewsbury could possibly play there. So it's only between Dewsbury and Alcaraz who can play there.
As the 10?
No, as on the left-hand side of midfield.
Yeah, I know, it's a difficult one.
Because he's not going to play Dibbling, is he? He's not going to start Dibbling. We've just basically said the same thing.
Yeah, I agree.
He's too much of a free spirit at the moment. He's not getting involved in the games. Everton were, I don't want to sound harsh on the lad, but they were kind of playing with 10 men for large periods of that game because he weren't getting involved in the game. Of course it was. So they're not going to chance it at Manchester City. So Dibbling's not going to start, in my opinion. So it's either going to be who plays in that role. If Dibbling doesn't start and Iglesias can't play against his parent club, who plays in that role? So it's either going to be Kiernan Dewsbury, Dwight McNeil, or obviously Alcaraz. So the law of averages would suggest Alcaraz, because he has a good 45 minutes in him against Palace, and he gets involved in the game a lot more. So it's, you can't just square pegs and round holes, I get it, but at least he's in the team.
I'll tell you what you could do, just looking at the players who are available here on the Everton website. Would you go, if all players are fit, would you go with a 3 at the back, wing back scenario? So you could have your Keane, Tarkowski and O'Brien, with Mikalenko as your left wing back, and then Coleman, if Coleman can do that.
No, forget about that.
No,
nightmare. That.
No?
Don't fancy Coleman up right back at the moment, let alone wing back. He's bombing forwards and getting back. He hasn't got 19 minutes in him in the Premier League. No chance. When was the last time Coleman's done 90 minutes?
Well, he played substantial amounts of minutes for Ireland against Portugal the other day, and was I didn't see the game, but
he's not going to play much game time for Everton in the Premier League this season. But he played.
Oh, okay, Garner then. James, I've been calling for James.
There's
Garner
a good shout for James Garner. There's a very, very good shout for James Garner. But then you just, with the three defenders at the back, you'd have to. I think Moyes would have to be working on that all week. And considering he's only getting, well, there's an argument to say that James Garner's already been at Finch Farm this week. Tarkowski has, Michael Keane has, Jake O'Brien for Ireland, Mikalenko for the Ukraine. So it's whether you've got that amount of time to work on that form. It's a good shout, don't get me wrong, and you can probably foot the midfield, but I think it's been a lot more defensive minded. And I think if Everton went with that formation, a lot of Evertonians going to the Etihad on Saturday afternoon and go, oh, come on.
I mean, it's deemed as a negative approach, isn't it? You basically go in.
Not if Crystal Palace play.
No, but that's what I mean. Like maybe from our point of view, you would say 3 at the back, 5 at the back, whatever you think it is. You think, oh well, we're going there just not to lose the game with not much of a shout to have any attack and threat. So I mean, speaking of the attack and threat, Barry or Beto?
Heads or tails?
Oh, come on, so you got to give him a little bit of a.
I know.
Oh, hang on. Base it on form.
I know, base it on form on them 45 minutes, yeah. But we've seen 65 games of Beto. That's what we've seen, haven't we? We've seen 65 games of him. I think 37 starts. The lad's not good enough.
Well, look, forget whether he's good enough or not. He's the main striker at this club now. He is the number 1 striker at this club. Whether you think he's good enough or not, well, who's ahead of him?
Well, him and Barry are exactly the same.
No, Barry's a fish out of water at the moment. Absolutely a fish out of water.
As opposed to Beto, who's what?
Well, scored plenty of Premier League goals and has got, plenty more experience.
I'm not going down the Beto route of he scored what? He scored 2 goals against Leicester, a couple against.
Plenty of goals to keep us up last season.
Yeah, while Everton were playing a totally different style of football.
You're never going to give him any credit.
Look, I will. Listen, Beto was good last season.
How can you not say he's not our number 1 striker?
Because it's Everton are a different team than last season. That's my argument. Everton last season played to Beto's strengths. They were just lobbing the ball down to the channels. That's what they were doing. Tarkowski did it a lot of the time.
Kind of did that against Palace when he came on.
When he came on, that's it. That's all you can do. But Everton have actually got footballers this season. They've got Ndiaye, Jude Bjork and Jack Grealish. So they've got ball carriers to get you up the pitch. So it doesn't suit Beto because he's kind of just, what do we do here? I've got nowhere to run. I've actually got footballers who are going to feed me.
But in the games that you're talking about where the creative players were on the ball a lot and trying to create chances, we didn't win. We didn't win any of them games.
No, so what I'm saying, well, we haven't bought Jack Grealish, we haven't got Iliman Ndiaye, we haven't got Kieran Dewsbury just to play to Beto's strengths and lob the ball down the channel. We've got footballers on the pitch.
I think you should play to your striker's strengths. That's what I think you should do.
So Jack Grealish is never going to sit in the halfway line and ping balls down the channel for Beto.
I'm not saying that should be the go-to tactic.
So that's all Beto's got in his locker. That's my argument. That's all he's got because he hasn't got the game intelligence to move off of playing the 6-yard box.
We haven't got anyone else.
I know, so that's what I mean. That's why it's not horses for course at the moment. It only suited Everton for the last 10 minutes of the Crystal Palace game because that's what we done. We fed Beto. I think the penalty shout come from the ball down to the channels. Ruben got fouled, penalty given. That's what it come from. But Everton aren't going to play that style of football anymore because they've got players that don't play that way. Whereas in last season, towards the back end of Moyes' reign and Sean Dyche's reign when he scored 6 or 7 goals, that's when Everton at the purple spot of getting the ball in the channels. But they're never going to play that way now.
Well, I still think we're transitioning from playing the way we played last season to this season, and there's been plenty of ups and downs. Obviously, the first couple of games we picked up some points, and then we had the lull, didn't we, between the Derby, Villa, and West Ham. But I think the evidence is there that when we kind of went back to the Alcaraz-Beto partnership, I think that quite clearly still worked.
It's still time for it, and there's more ways to win football games than any other. My argument is that we haven't signed Jack Grealish for nothing. We haven't got Iliman Ndiaye for nothing.
You're talking about how good Iliman Ndiaye is and Jack Grealish is. So you saying they can't play that way?
No, they don't play that way. They don't knock balls down the channels
they shouldn't be that classed as that good then, should they? If they can't adapt the game.
No, they dribble and the ball carriers. You've seen what they do. They attract fullbacks. They take players on and get you up the pitch.
You're telling me that an Iliman Ndiaye or a Jack Grealish couldn't pick a pass out from deep?
No, but that's because it suited Everton last season. They were defending deep and throwing the ball in the channels. That's what they were doing.
Well, that's how we're going to have to play tomorrow, because we're not going to have much possession of the ball.
Well, my argument is that it could kind of suit Everton. Dare I say that they haven't got Jack Grealish in the side for this one, that they could play that old style of way, because Jack Grealish isn't going to get... There is no Jack Grealish to get up the pitch. So Everton probably will be deep. And then you'd say to Alcaraz or Tarkowski, pick the ball out to Beto, run the channels, and you may get something from it. That's my argument.
I just hear Gav Buckland's ears ringing out then, what you've just said there. I believe you just said that, to be honest.
No, what I'm trying to say is that it's different way of playing. Where Everton have played more or less a different style compared to what they were playing last season. So they may have to go back to that last season style of football to get results against Manchester City, because it kind of worked. We got a point there last year. Yeah. I know we come from a different circumstance when the ball got crossed along the box and in the ice in the top corner, but that's how Everton got the joy last season. They kind of broke through it towards the end and could have actually won it. So I think they may play that style, but it's going to be interesting to see the setup in terms of personnel, because it'll tell you how Everton are going to play straight away. Do they play last season's style of football, or do they play this season's style of football? Last season's football suits Beto. This season's doesn't. When Grealish and Ndiaye and Gisbiola are on the ball, it doesn't suit Beto, but last season's does.
That's why I think the criticism of Beto has been slightly unfair, to be honest.
Because he'll need to use his intelligence.
No, I get that, but I don't want to dwell on this too much, but you might as well have just kept a Calvert-Lewin. If people at the club had the foresight of, I hope they would have had the but I hope the people at the club would have had the foresight to think, well, we're bringing in a Jack Grealish, and we're going to have an Illiman and Dye on the right hand side, and we're going to have a Kane and Gisbiola, and we're going to play this way, and we're going to make sure that we're in possession of the ball, and we're going to make things happen rather than letting the opposition dictate, and then we react to how the opposition make mistakes and stuff like that. Effectively, the Dominic Calvert-Lewin would have probably been the ideal player.
Oh, yeah.
So you say he wanted to leave. Obviously, he did want to leave. But if you think that your current striker at the club in Beto cannot play to how we're going to transition into, then you go all out to keep your Calvert-Lewin, and you do everything you can.
But if another football club's willing to give him a 4-year contract, Everton wins, and that's the problem. I'll guarantee, if Everton was to have given Dominic Calvert-Lewin a 4-year contract in the summer, Evertonians would have been up in arms over it. And he's got that at Leeds. Well, and that's the big thing.
His record still hasn't been great, has it, with us?
Exactly, and that's what we couldn't do at the time. They've looked at his injury records. They've looked at his games per minutes. They've looked at everything. They've looked at his fitness record. They've looked at absolutely everything. And they thought, right, we cannot afford to give you a 4-year contract, what you're asking for. Fine, no problem. Shake your hands, good luck, best of the future.
No,
he's got rid of his agents, he's gone to Leeds, and he's got that 4-year deal. That's it. From a player's perspective, he's won. Everton kind of haven't, because they've lost a player. It's good for PSR issues as well as being an attribute on the pitch. He probably would have suited our style of football a lot better this season than what Beto and Barry is right now. It's just one of them.
No, that's fine. I think the likes of Grealish and Ndiaye could adapt their game to suit Beto, and if Moyes doesn't want to do that for whatever reason, I think there should be a mix of how we approach a game, and I don't think necessarily we've seen that up until the Palace game.
As you said, we're in that transitional period and it doesn't help us the fact that we haven't got a striker at the moment that suits our style of football we're trying to play. That's the big conundrum here.
But he is still the main striker right now.
I don't know, because I think Barry's been given a fair crack of the whip, and what I mean by that is that Barry was a success at Villarreal. He was a success at Villarreal because he was playing alongside a striker. He's playing in front with another partner. Now he's come to the English Premier League as a young striker, hasn't kicked a ball in England, and now he's having to lead the line on his own. He's probably thought, hang on, I've been playing up front with another striker in Spain, being a success, and now I'm being asked to play for Everton as a lone striker. I'm not used to this.
It's just the same with Beto, isn't it?
But that's the recruitment, isn't it? That's like, so this season, they've known, the recruitment team and David Moyes and all the backroom staff must have got together and go, right, we're going to play this style of football with Grealish and Ndiaye, Gisbiola, going to look good on the eye, going to get our players up the pitch. Which striker's going to fit that bill? We know quite clearly Beto isn't intelligent enough to play this style of football, and Barry's been used to playing up front with another partner. And they've both known, the club must have known this.
Well, you've just touched on my whole point. That is my whole point, is that two strikers in Beto and Barry are being asked to do something that they can't actually do.
Yeah, I agree.
So we should then rely on the players who...
So they're going to be flicking a coin every game. They're going to be flicking a coin each game, because quite clearly the two centre forwards are not intelligent or haven't got the quality to adapt to the way Everton want to play with Grealish and Ndiaye and Dewsbury.
Grealish and Ndiaye and Dewsbury should have that quality to be able to
play they're very good footballers.
In many different ways.
They're good footballers. They don't just lump the ball into channels. You don't just do that. It's not sustainable to play like that.
Just as long as you win the game, though.
But it's not, because
how you play. I don't care if Everton dominate possession, 90% possession. All I care about is 3 points on a win.
Of course, but playing like that's not sustainable. You won't win many games of football like that. That's the argument. We didn't win many games of football. We won 5 at Goodison last year, don't forget. That's the big... You won't win many games of football. Again, it will get you the odd big wins here, there, and will score your goals. You will get moments, don't get me wrong.
It's under 2 separate managers, though,
yeah, of course, but you will get moments in games of football, but it's not sustainable to play like that for 38 games in a Premier League season, to knock the balls into channels. So you're hoping right now that the recruitment team is searching the globe for that striker that is adaptable and is intelligent enough to play in this style of football that Everton are wanting to play.
Okay, it's the end of that debate. Just very quickly, I know you wanted to touch on the academy as well, so but
we probably haven't got enough time.
Right, no worries. Well, just
maybe for another pod.
Go on. We'll talk just very quickly then. McNeil, Patterson, and Asnu all played in the under-21s defeat to Bradford City last night, a 5-1 defeat. You want to go and look at the player ratings that Chris Beasley did on the Liverpool Echo website. They don't make for good reading, but you can see how Chris assessed them. It was a tough night for all three, certainly when you get beat 5-1. I mean, is there any way that those three, Patterson, Asnu, McNeil, can be integrated into the team, squad, 11, over the next course of the next couple of weeks and months? Because I keep saying it, that I wouldn't be surprised if McNeil gets an opportunity at some point over the next couple of months.
I'll be gobsmacked.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him go in January either.
Oh, 100%. I'm sure there'll be conversations in the background with McNeil's agent right now. Come start looking for a club.
He's probably thinking, look where I was 18 months ago. I was leading,
12 months ago?
Kind of leading the line for Everton as the number 10, the main creative force, the goal scorer. The one who scored,
12 months ago, Sean Dyche was still in charge of Everton Football Club. Exactly. Everton were hovering above the bottom three, playing horrendous football, and Dwight McNeil was the star man, so to speak.
And now he's getting beat 5-1 against Bradford under 21s.
That's how quickly football can change.
Yeah, but it's a squad game, isn't it? So Grealish is already out for this City game. Thankfully, he's not injured. It's just because he can't play against his parent club.
I've been disappointed in McNeil's, I don't want to say attitude, because it's derogatory to a professional footballer, but I was wanting to see a little bit more in terms of a bounce back from Dwight McNeil. If I was him, I'm not a Premier League footballer, I would never lace his boots, far from it, but I just think if you're in that position where you've seen Everton sign Jack Grealish, Dewsbury, and obviously you've already got Iliman Ndiaye, and you've got all these players, and you've been dropped, I go, right, when I'm going to get the opportunity, when I'm playing against, if you put me in against Mansfield, I'm going to put 2 in. I'm going to show you I'm ready. I'm going to show that I'm more capable. Yeah, he was awful. Got dragged off.
So he started?
Yeah, there've been lots of examples this season when he's came on, and he's looked absolutely awful. Played against Wolves, didn't he?
Yeah, but my argument to that is...
But at least you're wanting to someone to give that commitment effort. Look at Alcaraz, for example. Alcaraz was probably the best out of the bad bunch against Wolves, because he was showing the commitment and the passion and running about and getting tackles in. It weren't coming off for him, but at least he was showing that willingness.
Yeah, but he got dragged off.
Exactly. Of course he did. A lot of them did.
I put a lot of that down to the manager.
Yeah, of course. We've gone around that. Yeah, of course. I totally accept that. But at least Alcaraz, again, what did he do against Palace? Alcaraz, when he come on, ran around like a man possessed, running around, chasing everything, trying to create something. When McNeil has had the opportunities, albeit limited opportunities this season, it's like he's laboured in his approach, and it's like his head's down. He hasn't shown that same commitment as Charlie Alcaraz has, and that's the big difference for me.
He probably knows the writing's on the wall, doesn't he? And he ultimately knows that Moyes doesn't fancy him. I think there's been ample opportunity for Moyes to throw him in as an impact player, and he just hasn't. He's decided not to do that. I think that there was calls for him to be playing left back when Mykolenko wasn't fit, and he used James Garner instead. You know, that's telling in itself. I know McNeil's not a left back or even a left wing back, but he has played there in the past. He played there under Sean Dyche once or twice, if I can remember. And just for the balance of the team, I think it would have been better. But you know, Moyes, you know, for a criticism of him for all the good that he's done, he definitely hasn't used Barry well this season in terms of minutes and how he's used them to make an impact. He hasn't used Diblin well, and I put McNeil, and he certainly hasn't used Alcaraz well up until the Palace game. Finally got his chance, and you are right, players have got to ultimately take that chance.
So what's Alcaraz
has done that.
Alcaraz has forced David Moyes to start him into Manchester City as Dwight McNeil. That's the big thing. Has he forced himself into the plans? No, he hasn't.
No, but
because he's sitting there against Bradford City on a wet night on a Tuesday in the EFL trophy.
No, but obviously Alcaraz played against Wolves and was deemed to be poor, that he got took off. McNeil was poor against Wolves as well, and then McNeil could have come on against Leeds when we were 1-0 down, you know, before Grealish signed that. You know, 3 subs left to make. At least you're 1-0 down, make that sub. So
but by the way, he weren't the only one. There was Patterson in there, Adam Asnou.
Alcaraz has been given probably slightly more opportunity than McNeil. So he's a better player though. So as well.
Why do you think David Moyes has shown that? That's just on the basis of like what I've seen.
He's not getting in ahead of Grealish, is he?
But yeah, in training.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll bet my bottom dollar. I will bet my bottom dollar that Charlie Alcaraz has shown more commitment in training than Dwight McNeil. Hence why he's forced himself back into the reckoning. That's the big difference here. Attitude, application, putting your body out there. All these big things that David Moyes wants as an essential part of being an Everton footballer. And Alcaraz, he was dragged off at Wolves, and there was lots of players that were dragged off against Wolves. But you know what? He's showing the attitude. He's got, I'm going to show you that you were wrong to drag me off. I'm going to show you that, you know what? If I force myself into this team next week, that Dewsbury might be on the bench, I'm going to keep my place. So good on Charlie Alcaraz for doing that. And that's what you want, competition for places. It's healthy.
No, we'll finish off now because I know we've got to go. But my argument to all of that is that at some point, already Grealish can't play. At some point, Ndiaye is not going to be able to play. So I think he's going to have to, at some point, maybe turn to a McNeil. I might be wrong. I think there's
too many options for him to go there now.
Well, we'll see.
If we had like maybe 1 or 2, I think there's quite so many options Everton have got to play there.
You say that you just don't know what injuries and suspensions get picked up. My point is that, say, like, this is a mad example, but say like Forest early December, and Zan's forced, I've got to play McNeil because we've got injuries and suspensions.
You'd have to have an enormous amount of injuries.
It can happen. He's just going to go into that game cold. So you use your squad over the course of the season.
We've not got no League Cup games. The FA Cup doesn't start till January. I know, so we've got no League Cup games. We've got no FA Cup till January. Whereas by the time we play in the FA Cup, that McNeil could have a new club. We're playing basically 1 game every week. And we've got, I'd say there's about 3 or 4 players that are ahead of him in the pecking order. Hence why there was a reason for him to get minutes against Bradford City. And did he do himself justice there? Arguably not, because he was on the basis of, what did he get in Beezer's match rating? One of those. So it's
4.
There you go.
Patterson got a 3. Asnou got a 4. So not good.
Says a lot, doesn't it? It really, really says a lot for the quality of them at the moment, and Everton's academy where it's at.
It's nice that we're debating the quality of the squad and not the fact that it's gone up.
Oh, miles. As we just touched on there, Dwight McNeil was an integral part of Everton's first team last season. This time last year, 12 months ago, Sean Dyche and Dwight McNeil were an integral part of Everton. Now they're nowhere to be seen. Nowhere to be seen because Everton's gone up a level. We're not flirting with the bottom 3. We're not looking over our shoulder. 18 months ago, 2 years ago, we were worried about Luton Town's results. That we were looking at who they're playing next.
They're staying in League One now.
They're in League One.
Mad.
They've just obviously appointed Jack Wilshere as the manager. Yeah. It's like we're night and day. We're miles above that now. We're in a world-class stadium. We're 5 points off top of the league. It's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers. We're playing a really good style of football. Lots to be positive about. Lots.
On that note, should we finish off?
Yeah. I'll leave my academy rant to another day.
Yeah, we'll do. I mean, it could be a separate pod entirely, couldn't it?
It is. It was just on the basis, basically, of last night's results. I think the academy, we've just, I wouldn't say left to rot. I think that's too strong of a word. I think we've neglected it over the Moshiri years and the last 2 or 3 years under Thirlwell and everyone else. And hopefully with the appointment of Nick Cox this week, I know it's going to take time, but I think it's been a big bugbear of mine that Everton's academy was one of the best in England in terms of what it produced, the likes of Wayne Rooney, Jack Rodwell, Francis Jeffers, Leon Osmond, Tony. But the list is endless in terms of the players that were top notch coming from Everton's academy. And over the past 10 years, it's been left found wanting. And I only compare that with other Premier League clubs. And you only have to look at yourself. I'll probably mention in maybe next week's podcast, but it's pretty damning numbers in terms of where Everton's academies are compared to others in the Premier League.
The other positive is that Everton's leadership team is now in place, so fingers crossed that does work out. Very quickly, prediction for Saturday. Do you want to give a prediction?
I think City will just narrowly win it.
Ruling with your head.
Yeah, for a change.
Like you say,
as long as we see a good performance in and we have a good go. Like last year, we sat back for large parts of it and we played that old style of getting in behind. We can't have got joy against Manchester City, to be fair. Don't get me wrong, City they were in fine form last season compared to what they previously have under Pep Guardiola. But I think there's holes in there. You can get at them. And I want to see us have a go. Listen, if we get beat 2-1 and have a good go, I think all Evertonians would be, do you know what? We've had a good go at them. I think if we sit back and listen with 10 men behind the ball and just lump and hope for the best for better and get beat 3 or 4-0, it won't go down well. So if we have a good go and pick our moments, pick our patterns of play, which I'm sure David Moyes and a lot of Everton's squad will have been at Finch Farm this week. Only 3 or 4. Ilman Diaye, just a guy, Mikalenko. There's only so many there in terms of numbers. Will have been away on international duty. So a large parts of the Everton squads will have been at Finch Farm. So you'd hope that Moyes will have been working on patterns of play to get at Manchester City.
Okay, we are going to be back on Friday, which if you watch it on live on the YouTube channel, it'll either be around 11:30 or 2 o'clock. So keep an eye out for that, depending on David Moyes' press conference time. That is all for today's show. So give us a like and subscribe to the channel and drop us some 5-star reviews on our audio platforms, Apple and Spotify. Most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day. I've been Ian Croll, joined by Tony Scott, and this has been the Royal Blue Podcast.